You're gonna want to watch this if you like clowning around. Hi, this is Shadowscape Pictures. My name's Philip Wilson, and this is the review for Clownin' Out. A clown trying to turn his life around enters the criminal world, and when he breaks into a home of a troubled actress trying to go bye-bye, things start to go south, intertwining with a producer, a hitman, and a gun-crazy chick. First off, the music score is probably some royalty-free music or something. I don't know what he did exactly, got some music from some people, who really knows? All I know is Mark Hensley knows how to choose music, and he's pretty good at it. You find that a lot of low-budget stuff, it doesn't really have that real good music or anything, or it seems like it's an afterthought. But in this, Mark Hensley, he knows how to choose some music for the film. He does know a little bit about that, which I'm really surprised to see, because a lot of times filmmakers at a low budget scale, they don't really think about music at all. I also think for the small budget that they had, I thought the cinematography was pretty good. And you don't really see that with really low budget films too much. There's the odd one or rare ones that kind of have look like a little more big budget than what they truly are. But this one overall had some decent cinematography. And I'm really glad to say that. And I'm really glad they did that for how low budget this film was. I thought that was great. So it obviously seems like a lot of the technical aspects seem to be really good. And also the sound is actually half decent overall. It's not amazing by any means, but it's half decent, it works, and it pretty well gets the job done. And that's really all you need for a really low budget film. The acting is pretty decent overall. I do think Elaine and Frank stole the show in terms of acting abilities, and the rest of them were kind of iffy at best for such a small cast. Now the story is a bit on the silly side. It starts off with the hitman getting shot in the ear, which was just silly overall, and then the intro credits start. I do think Mark Hensley knows how to start a film, and he kind of gets that hook for the audience, and I think that's great. And he obviously knows how to not bore the audience in the first 10 minutes, which a lot of filmmakers don't really get at all. After that, it continues with John the Clown. His life isn't going too great, so he breaks into some random person's house, and it turns out to be an actress's house. This is where things get a little bit just what? I don't really get it. The biggest thing about this was John the Clown breaks into this chick's house, and then she's trying to go bye-bye essentially on some pills and such because she can't handle whatever trauma has happened to her. Then after, Elaine confronts John and she's about to shoot him or whatever, and then she just almost passes out, and then John decides to help her. What? He breaks into somebody's house and then now you're helping them? I just thought that part was just too unrealistic. Essentially, they get into conversation and such after, and I'm just what? That doesn't even make any sense. I thought it would make a lot more sense if she locked herself in a bathroom or something, and then he knew about that, and then they started to talk outside the door from each other. I think that would have been a better way to do it and grow their relationship that way, instead of them just talking to each other normal, they've met each other. I just thought that part was what? And that's pretty well the entire film, is them just talking about their trauma and hardships. That's really basically it. There's not too much at play. Then there's a part where Elaine's friend, this black chick, she's obviously gun crazy because there's a whole shot of it, and then she comes in to try to save Elaine, but then she slips and falls. And then John also puts her to bed. And I was what? Who does this? And then John always looks so crazy. This guy looks crazy all the time. Why does he look so crazy? He actually looks the most psychotic out of all of them. He just absolutely loony. Life probably wouldn't be too hard if you didn't look as so crazy looking all the time. He just looks crazy. There is also a hilarious part. Me and my brother laughed so hard at this. And it's when Frank, the producer, pulls up across the street and he talks to this homeless guy, and he just shoots him. That part was hilarious. But I did not expect that at all. He just shoots him. Done. Like dinner. Gone. And it was great. But anyways, I just don't get John's character too much. Why is he helping these chicks? what is his purpose truly? You then later find out that Frank, the producer, also basically hired him to kill Elaine, and that's how he broke into the home. Because I thought it was just so weird at first that he just breaks into a random person's house, and I was like, why would he do that? At first he was like clowning around, and then next thing you know, he's breaking into people's houses with a gun. And I'm like, what? His character wouldn't do that. Then you find out later through flashbacks and such with Frank the producer, who obviously had some sexual interactions with Elaine's character and did God knows what to her exactly to make her want to go bye-bye. And there's also a lot of flashbacks in this movie as well, which I think is okay. I think it's okay to have flashbacks, especially if they're meaningful to the story. But I do think it's an overly long film for what it truly is. It's just, there's a lot of dialogue, which makes sense because it is a very low budget film. And it's only an hour and 9 minutes. And obviously you kind of have to make a movie at least that long. Otherwise, if it's less than that, it's pretty well classified as a short film. You also then find out that Elaine might expose Frank the producer. That's why he put a hit out on her. And then later, the black chick wakes up and kills the one hitman that's about to kill her. And he says, I'm a professional, and I thought that was silly. I don't know why he would say that. Then Elaine and John decide to scheme Frank and basically kill him. John says Elaine is dead, and then they get him to his car, and then they hit him, and then they take him to the desert, and then that's where things go wrong. John wants to give Elaine the cash that he got from Frank, and I'm like, why would you do that? That's your dough, homie. Don't tell her about that, and you don't have to give her the money. But then it didn't matter anyway, because obviously John got smacked by Frank with a rock and probably died. And then Elaine just like shoots John in the head like no problem. She doesn't contemplate it at all. She just does it. And I'm like, what? Why would she do that? She would have thought about that long and hard. Like, obviously she did. She obviously hated him. If you're not a true killer, you probably would have some resistance. But obviously, since he grabbed the gun, she had to shoot him. And that part made sense. But I'm just like, she probably would have hesitated just a little bit. So I feel like she would have got shot at least by Frank's character. Guess not. I think that would have made it more interesting if she got shot and then she got back in the car and then was like bleeding and then it kind of just ends. I think that probably would have been cooler, but they decided not to do that. And overall, I think John's character was like, why was he even the main character? I think Elaine should have been more so of the main character. They put a little too much emphasis on John's character, and he's really just a silly guy. He's honestly just a clown, which probably serves the purpose of this film. And that's basically how it ends. And she drives home with like 10K or whatever. Good to go. And that's basically the movie. Overall, I do think this is an overlong short film. It's just, there's too much dialogue. Like almost too much. Especially in the middle. I'm just like, I was just getting bored, honestly. And that was my biggest gripe. There wasn't enough like things going on. And I think the one gun crazy chick in there, I think she was just a little bit silly and cartoonish a bit. I don't think she was quite necessary for it. I think they could have trimmed her character out, trying to be like Tarantino, but not quite there. It's like the deep discount version of it. I think this is a great try from the filmmakers. I don't think this is overall like an amazing film. He's had some of these like other reviews like 4 out of 5, 3.5 out of 5. I don't even think it's that good. I'd probably give this a 3 out of 10 if I'm being honest. Damn! If you do like low budget stuff, I think it's like a 5 to 6 out of 10 in there, in that range. Because I do think if you really like low budget stuff, you might get something out of this. But I do think there's a few things the filmmakers could learn from this film. Obviously, Mark Hensley, he knows what he's doing with some stuff. And I do think his next film could be a lot better. If these story elements like script was a little more perfected and stuff. And I do think like the editing could have been cut down quite a bit. But then you're left with a short film. I feel like the script needed to be at least 90 to 100 pages at the very least. This one just didn't seem long enough. And I kind of did the same thing with my first feature film, which was Within Circles.
What the fuck you want, man?
because I think it was like an hour and 7 minutes or so, which wasn't quite that long for a feature. But yeah, I want to say props to the filmmakers for making this film, because a lot of people are such pussies that they can't even make a goddamn film. So I really want to say good on you to the filmmakers, good on you, Mark Hensley, for making a film. I think that's great. I think you should just keep going. Once you figure it out, you'll figure it out. You'll definitely improve and make a better next film. And I do think you guys can do a hell of a lot better with the next one you do. That's my review for Clownin' Out. If you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. And of course, if you didn't like this video, bye bye, turn it off!